You're sitting there, mid-conversation, mid-plan, mid-explanation. You've already said more than you needed to. You feel it now, that slight tightening in your chest. The moment where the room shifts and you don't know why. Eyes change. Questions sharpen. People stop listening and start measuring. You thought clarity would help. You thought honesty would protect you. You thought saying your intentions out loud would make things smoother, cleaner, fairer. Instead, something slipped. Not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. Control. You can't name the exact second it happened, but you know it did. The moment your direction became visible. The moment your next move became guessable. The moment resistance formed before you even acted. Now notice how quickly the world adjusts when you speak too soon. Advice appears that wasn't asked for. Obstacles materialize that didn't exist yesterday. People begin steering you, questioning you, positioning against you. You feel watched without being seen, countered without being confronted, delayed without being told no. And the most unsettling part isn't that others reacted. It's that they didn't have to ask. You volunteered the map. You outlined the route. You revealed the destination before the journey began. Right now, sitting with this discomfort, there's a realization forming that you've avoided before. That silence would have kept your leverage intact. That opacity would have protected your range of motion. That by explaining yourself, you handed away something that cannot be reclaimed once exposed. You were taught that stating your intentions makes you respectable, that clarity is maturity, that transparency is proof of integrity. Say what you want. Explain your goals. Let people know where you're headed. That's the myth. You followed it because it sounded moral, because it felt cooperative, because it made you believe the world would meet you halfway if you were open first. But notice what actually happened. The moment you revealed your aim, resistance didn't announce itself. It adapted. What you were promised was alignment. What you received was interference. Reality doesn't reward sincerity. It responds to exposure. When you declared your intentions, you believed you were being understood. In truth, you were being calibrated against, measured, positioned. Systems don't care why you want something. People don't protect your outcome just because you explained it well. Psychology doesn't pause to honor good faith. Nature doesn't operate on virtue. It operates on leverage. The world is indifferent to how clean your motives are. It only reacts to what can be anticipated, blocked, redirected, or exploited. You thought visibility would reduce friction. Instead, it gave others time to prepare. You thought disclosure created trust. Instead, it created opportunity for control. And the punishment was subtle enough that you blamed yourself. You assumed you needed better wording, more reassurance, more context. But the flaw wasn't how you spoke. It was that you spoke at all. You weren't wrong in intention. You were misaligned with reality, and reality doesn't negotiate with belief. There's a reason this truth is rarely said plainly, because once you see it, you stop being easy to manage. Sun Tzu wrote that all warfare is based on deception, not as a suggestion, as a law. Strategists, intelligence agencies, game theorists all converge on the same principle. What is visible can be neutralized. What is declared can be countered. This idea is uncomfortable because it contradicts the modern moral posture. You're told concealment is dishonest, that opacity is manipulative, that silence implies guilt or weakness. But those are social stories, not operational truths. In strategy, intention is liability. In systems, predictability is decay. The disciplined mind understands something naive minds resist. Power does not announce itself. It positions quietly and lets others draw the wrong conclusions. Those who study power never confuse transparency with virtue. They understand that disclosure is a tactical decision, not a moral one. The reason this knowledge feels forbidden is because it removes you from the herd. The herd needs everyone legible, trackable, emotionally readable. Unreadable people destabilize systems built on prediction. This is why institutions praise openness publicly while practicing discretion privately. Why leaders speak in abstractions but move in specifics. Why those who actually control outcomes rarely explain their motives in advance. They are not cruel. They are aligned. They accept a hard truth. The world does not reward those who mean well. It rewards those who understand how outcomes are shaped. And once you accept this, you stop seeking moral permission to be silent. You're tired in a way that doesn't come from effort. It comes from explaining, from saying what you're doing before you do it, from justifying direction, from watching plans stall the moment they're spoken out loud. You felt the confusion. Working harder, communicating clearer, being more open, yet outcomes keep slipping sideways. Not failing loudly, failing quietly. You sense there's a pattern, but you haven't named it. That every time you disclose too early, momentum leaks. That every time you clarify, something interferes. And the frustration is this: you did what you were told was right. You played clean. You were upfront. You trusted the process. Still, you end up managing other people's reactions instead of moving forward. Their expectations, their opinions, their subtle resistance. What exhausts you isn't opposition, it's exposure. You're not weak, you're over-visible. And there is relief in hearing that, because it means the problem isn't your ambition or discipline. It's the lies you were handed about how power moves. What comes next will dismantle those lies. Not with motivation, with precision. This isn't about becoming secretive or paranoid. It's about understanding when silence preserves optionality and when speech collapses it. Once you understand this, you won't be able to unsee it. You'll notice how the world treats people differently when they stop announcing themselves, when they move without explanation. This knowledge closes a door behind you. You don't go back to careless disclosure after this. There are 5 principles you're about to encounter. Not techniques, not clever tactics. They are shifts in perception. Each one removes a habit that made you visible before you were powerful. Each one restores leverage you didn't know you surrendered. These are not things you perform. They are ways you withhold, ways you pause, ways you stop feeding the system information it uses against you. What changes isn't what you do. It's how the world responds when it can no longer read you cleanly. Most people try to control outcomes directly. They announce goals. They explain plans. They signal direction. These principles do the opposite. They narrow signals. They preserve ambiguity. They keep your range of action wide while others lock themselves into predictions. You won't use them to intimidate. You won't use them to manipulate. You'll use them to stay unexposed long enough for action to matter. Each principle will feel simple. That's because power is rarely loud or complex. It's disciplined. What makes them difficult is restraint. The urge to clarify, the impulse to be understood, the reflex to declare intent to feel legitimate. These principles remove that reflex. Once installed, they don't require effort. They quietly reshape how conversations unfold, how resistance forms too late, how opposition miscalculates because it lacks data. After this, you won't feel the need to announce direction. You'll recognize that movement itself is the signal. 5 principles, each one irreversible once seen. The first principle is simple and unforgiving. What is declared becomes fixed. The moment you state an intention, you collapse possibility into a single line. Like a particle observed, your movement loses flexibility the instant it's measured. Before, you had options. After disclosure, you have expectations to manage. Your old behavior was verbal movement before physical movement. You spoke to feel aligned. You announced to feel committed. You explained to feel legitimate. But every word you released acted like coordinates handed to an external system. Others didn't need to oppose you directly. They just adjusted. Think of it like economics. A market only reacts once information is public. Prices shift not because value changed, but because predictability entered the system. You trained people how to price you. The new behavior is restraint. Not silence as avoidance, silence as delay. You allow intention to mature privately. You let action speak after it has already altered the landscape. Watch how others respond when they can't pre-adjust. They hesitate. They guess. They misallocate energy, responding to versions of you that no longer exist. This isn't dominance. It's discipline. You don't rush to be understood. You move. Then let understanding catch up. The power comes from asymmetry. You know your direction. They don't. And because they don't, they can't counter efficiently. They burn effort too early or too late. You remain fluid. They become rigid. This principle doesn't make you aggressive. It makes you ungraspable. And ungraspable actors are rarely controlled. The second principle operates on leverage. Every intention you reveal is a transfer, not of truth, as if sharing plans had no cost. Energy moves from pressure differentials. When you disclosed motives, you reduced your own pressure. You equalized too soon. Others didn't need to act maliciously. They simply gained orientation. The new behavior is controlled opacity. You decide what is necessary to reveal and what remains undefined. You speak in outcomes already achieved or actions already taken. They stop inserting suggestions. Opacity isn't deception, it's conservation. Those who lack this discipline feel an urge to fill silence. And when you do speak, it won't be to explain direction. The third principle relies on miscalculation. So do people. Your old behavior made you easy to model. Others didn't need insight. They just needed consistency. If you do this, then they do that. You stop confirming assumptions. You stop correcting misunderstandings prematurely. You allow others to plan against ghosts. When you remain unreadable, others overcommit or underprepare. They allocate resources inefficiently. They move at the wrong time. You don't cause this. You allow it. You don't rush to say, "That's not what I meant." Let them act on what they think they know. Power doesn't come from being understood. It comes from being effective. As this principle integrates, you'll notice a shift. People hesitate around you. They ask more questions than they get answers. You've become variable. The fourth principle is about movement without announcement. Power travels faster than explanation. Your old behavior confused intention with action. You spoke to feel progress. You announced to feel momentum. But speech is not motion. It's signal. And every signal invites response. The new behavior is silent execution. You act first. Predators don't broadcast the chase. They close distance quietly. When you act without declaration, resistance forms too late to matter. People adjust their behavior retroactively. They explain your actions to themselves. You didn't ask for permission. It's alignment with how systems actually respond. Announcements are for those who need validation. Movement is for those who already decided. The discipline here is patience, letting results speak, letting silence carry weight. Resist it. They feel heavier, more final, and people orient themselves around what already exists, not what was promised. The fifth principle is restraint as control. Silence is not the absence of power. It is its containment. Your old behavior treated disclosure as maintenance, keeping others informed. Negotiation. A structure holds because of what it does not allow through. They can't rush you. They can't slow you. They explain. It's precise. It's to state fact. Silence preserves hierarchy, not because you intimidate. Control doesn't require noise. At this stage, something needs to be corrected quietly. That assumption belongs to the old mindset, the reactive one. The real shift happens inward. It was about soothing internal discomfort. What you gain isn't dominance over people. Power, in its cleanest form, is internal order. to let uncertainty exist without filling it. They've stopped outsourcing stability to reaction. You act from decision, not pressure, because you no longer chase relief through explanation. Your words land heavier because they're no longer compensatory, training yourself to remain whole while unseen.